Hello everyone and happy Eurovision New Year's! To celebrate the official start of the 2026 season, I've cooked up some predictions on what might happen in the coming months. I'm starting off with a rapid fire round of predictions I believe speak for themselves before moving on to those where I have more substantial things to say. Let's get started! Someone in a national final performs in a fursuit. No audience mute. Germany sends a vocal Zionist. Belgium sends a bad song, qualifies anyway. Whoever the new executive supervisor is turns out to also be ass. A song with an unusual time signature qualifies. Milfest hosts joke about Moss, except they're being cringe about it, i.e., treating the alleged substance abuse as worse than the alleged domestic violence. Australia qualifies. At least one live music gimmick moment inspired by Volevo Essere un Duro. Moldova comes back, no other comebacks or debuts. Luxembourg Song Contest has a banger in Luxembourgish that becomes the clear fan favorite but places second. It also has yet another fuck-ass country song that sweeps the televote. Italy, finally, flops for real. No Sergio Hayam staging reaches the top 5. JJ hosts disappoints everyone because he's not allowed to be as brain-rotted as he is on social media. Now onto a category of predictions I like to call Nothing Ever Happens. Simply put, things that stick to status quo despite expectations indicating otherwise. There were some similar predictions in the rapid fire section, but I had nothing interesting to say about them, so that's why they're not here. Anyway, Spain doesn't escape the bottom 5. Partially ties into the Sergio Hayam prediction. RTVE's been blowing a lot of smoke about Benidorm lately, with the new point split, Sergio as artistic director, and the William Dollar cash prize for the winner. It just teases the contrarian in me to come out swinging and saying those changes would do fuck all for Spain's chances. Maybe I'm just stuck in the 2010s when no Big Five not named Italy knew what they were doing, but let me be. Sevuki Desiree doesn't come back. FTV has talked about bringing back Sevuki Desiree. They won't. Just like how Avdotsos said they wanted to bring back a national final after 2023. Slovenia NQs. Slovenia has had that specific qualifying pattern going since 2012. I'm going to say the pattern stays intact, which by extension means Slovenia NQs this time. Armenia goes internal. Depi Evdatazil was so ass that some people suspected it was done out of malicious compliance with Eurofans. I wouldn't go that far, but I get where they're coming from. And I believe that now that it's firmly established what an Armenian national final is like, AMP TV will just save everyone the headache and go internal. And speaking of Armenia, juries don't come back to semis. This pains me to say, but I think that the reference group has so much on its plate for the time being that discussing juries being brought back to semis is a lower priority. And on that note, Israel won't go anywhere. It sucks. It really fucking sucks. But we've had so many close calls in regards to a possible Israeli withdrawal or ban that I no longer have faith. Unless Anna Maria Bordas leaves a reference group meeting with a suspiciously Germany-shaped belly, I see no reason to get my hopes up. A couple of token anti-vote manipulation measures being put in place seems plausible, but anything beyond that simply isn't realistic in my mind. Okay, let's move on to some miscellaneous predictions. Norway sends Lavdans. Lavdans is one of two artists who withdrew from MGP 2025, and Enako responded by making him sign a blood pact. Like, he might get some hefty fines if he doesn't appear in MGP next year. He's just this little crystal dude who hasn't necessarily released much, but the idea is that he's a ballad guy, and Enakor really wants to send a Eurobait ballad. I know there are also Ylvis rumors, but that seems so incredibly antithetical to what Enakor seems to want to do. Racist versus pedo as split screen in a national final. Simply put, a split screen where one party is bigoted in some manner and the other has allegations of grooming or similar levied against them. I think the most likely national finals for this to go down in are insert German national final name, Benidorm, PCE, maybe San Remo as a long shot. Norway gets death spotted. Norway has had some dog shit running orders lately, and I'll take it to its logical conclusion and wager they're getting death spotted. Doesn't matter whether it happens in the semi or in the final. A cynical Popra entry flops. Given who the last two winners are, I believe one country or another will send Popra believing that alone is all it takes to win Eurovision these days, and that this entry will be incompetent and fail spectacularly as a result. The unnamed Sami artist rejected from UMK 2024 comes back, narrowly loses to Goldilocks, I crash out hard. Anyway, here's me in the early morning hours on the 18th of May.
Huh? Oh, oh no! What?
Yeah, in case you didn't know, and I wouldn't blame you, the producer of Umko said in an interview in 2024 that there was an entry in a Sami language that got really close to being chosen as one of the finalists that year. Like the implication was that if they had room for an eighth entry, that would be it. And it's been my white whale ever since. We don't know who this artist was or what the entry was like, but that kind of mystique can be very tantalizing. Finland is the only non-suspended country that holds territory in Sapmi to never have sent a Sami artist before. Check out my previous video on underrated entries if you want to know more about the Sami representation Sweden sent in the past. And Wimco itself hasn't had any Sami acts since its Kia Asylum era. To an extent, that's understandable, since Finland has a considerably smaller Sami population than Norway and Sweden, but that also means that the last 2024 entry was a rare opportunity fumble. So my prediction goes that whoever this artist is, they finally get their shot at the Wumco stage, but Goldilocks is there too. And in the end, we're headed for a North Korean victory. Gliesla comes back to Melfest, wins televote, but loses because the juries latched on to some Kia. Gliesla really was the unsung hero of Melfest 2025 once you peel back the obvious Mons Kai narrative. There are some other compelling stories I could pay lip service to, like Scarlett redeeming themselves after that embarrassing final call elimination in 2024, but they sold their souls for broken English, so that feels more like a Pyrrhic victory. Or Dolly Style finally making it to the final and getting some unexpected love from the jury, but that doesn't hit quite as good when you remember that they're basically run like an idol group, complete with extreme body image pressure put on the members. And of course, an honorable mention goes to Saga Ludvigsson for, as a teen girl, having an infinitely more measured reaction to her result than three men twice her age. Ultimately, none of them hold a candle to the little Hungarian Juan Kukul. Gliesla just came out of relative obscurity, locked the fuck in, delivered a really solid song, and a staging exercise in doing a lot with a little, won his heat or a returnee, and made it all the way to the podium, all with an original songwriting team. That's ridiculously impressive. The Swedish public legitimately love Gresula, as can be seen in what a busy summer he's had, and anecdotally, I know multiple casuals who enjoyed Believe Me precisely because of the unfamiliar songwriting credits. Once you've followed Melfast for a while, you just know in your gut when someone's going to be back, and Gresula absolutely is that. It's really not unheard of for someone to win Belfast after one or more tries. Famously, Sanna Nilsson did so on her seventh try, but Robin Bengtsson, Måns Zelmerlöw, John Lundvik, Doreen, Erik Saade, and Cornelia Jacobs all had tried Melfest at least once before by the time they won. Gliesla could definitely go down that path, but as I see it, there's a massive hurdle to that, and that will be the jury. I went into the Melfest final feeling very confident about where Gliesla would end up. He would be the jury runner-up behind Måns, but then fall off in televote because of the less than ideal running order, and be third overall. I nailed the final placement, of course, but I got the jury televote ratio backwards. He got third in televote, and as for the jury... Yeah, I don't know what happened here. I thought he had the jury wrapped around his finger. Surely they'd be all over those glammy elements, similarly to Spaceman. Did they just not like the crotch shot? I can see a world where SVT takes a certain liking to Gresula, and coincidentally, the Melfest roster just happens to be really weak and devoid of jury threats that could defeat him, but I'm really not holding my breath for it. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for sticking around till the end. Do you think I'm onto something with these predictions? Are you here from the future to laugh at how wrong I was? Leave a comment, or don't. I'm not your mom.